Hello everyone, welcome to Soumya Tutorials. Last BCA third semester NMP syllabus database management system. This is the session number 1. Chapter 1 database architecture. The first slide we know about the introduction to database system applications. So first of all, these are all the some of the database terms. So first thing it is that data. So what is a data? So ಪ್ರತಿ ಸರಿಗೂ ನಾವು ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸಸ್ ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತರದ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಡಾಟಾ? So in simple term, data it is the unprocessed item. That means before going to an processing. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಗೋಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇರುವಂತ ರಾ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಡಾಟಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So here data is the collection of raw facts, figures and statistics which can be processed to produce a meaningful information. In other words, data are the raw facts which are required to be a processing. So in simple definition, the unprocessed items are also called as a data. So what are unprocessed items? What are raw facts? So raw facts, either it may be text or it may be numbers or it may be audio files or it may be a video files or anything. So that all we can call it as a raw facts, raw materials. So that data are the raw facts which are required to be a processing. This is a definition of a data. Then what is information? Information is processed data with some definite meaning. So information, it represents also a facts, figures or a statistics which have a proper meaning. So this is a definition of the information. So ಒಂದು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋಂಥ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಡಾಟಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೇನು ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ಫುಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ಫುಲ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ the information. In simple definition, the information is a processed data with some definite meaning. So this is the definition of the information. Then the next term it is file. What is a file? A file is the basic unit of storage in the computer system. So in simple definition it is the file is a large collection of related data. This is we can call it as the file. The file is also called as the collection of information. The collection of information we can also call it as a file. Then next term it is database. What is a database? Database is collection of logically related data organized in a way that the data can be easily accessed, managed and also updated. This is a definition of database. Database is a collection of logically related data organized in a way that data can be easily accessed, managed and also updated. So for example, ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಈ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಏನೇನಿರ್ಬೋದು? ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋ ಒಂದು ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್, ಒನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್, ನೇಮ್, ಏಜ್, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್, marks, anyone, address, city or anything. So ಇದೆಲ್ಲವಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು that are related to the student database. So that ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟಿಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟಿಗೂ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಡೀಟೇಲಿಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡೀಟೇಲಿಗೂ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಏಜ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲಾನು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ logically related data. So that a database is a collection of logically related data organized in a way that Data can be easily accessed, managed, and also updated. Then, what is database management system? So, database management system andre ಏನು? A database management system is a software that allows creation, definition, and manipulation of a database. In simple definition, DBMS is a software that allows creation, definition, manipulation of the database. So, DBMS is an actual tool. It is used to perform any kind of operations on data in the database. So, what are the operations are to be performed on the database? Either it is insertion, or it is deletion, or it is updation, or it is a selection, or it is a accessing, or retrieving, or manipulating, or anything. All operations or any kind of operations on data in the databases. So that is second point here is that DBMS, it is an actual tool used to perform any kind of operations on the data in a database. So DBMS, it also provides protection and also the security to database. So these 3 points regarding the definition of the database management system. Then we move on to the next slide here. What are applications of database? ಸೊ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಏನೇನು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮನ್ನು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ವೈಡ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಕೂಡ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಏನೇ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಏನೇ ಡಾಟಾ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಕೂಡ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಗೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸೊ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ದ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಈ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಏನೇನು ಯೂಸೇಜಸ್ ಇದೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಯರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ so we have to use them for the customer information, customer account details and loan details and banking transaction details. ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎರಡನೇದು ಆಟೋಮೇಟೆಡ್ ಬಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಸೊ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಬಿಲ್ಲಿನ ಅಥವಾ ವಾಟರ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಲಿನ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವುದೇ ಬಿಲ್ಲನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಕೂಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ number and all the details are stored in the databases and connected to the server based on the works. Then, rail and airlines. So for reservation purpose and also the scheduling informations like departure detail, arriving detail, so anything that is possible in the databases. Then college. So in the colleges for storing the student information or a course registration details or a grade details or anything which is stored in the databases in the college. Then credit card transaction details. So in a credit card transaction details for the purchases on credit card and generation of the monthly statements and paying details and buying details or anything, all the transactions are stored in these databases in the credit cards transaction sector. Then telecommunications. So for keeping the records of the calls made and generating the monthly bills and maintaining the balance on prepaid calling cards and storing the information about the communication network and any other thing details are to be stored in the databases in the telecommunications. ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನ್ನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ದ news and entertainment sector so are in the telecommunication sector so already healthy so ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ 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 ಆದಂತ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದು. Then we move on to this next slide. Here is the characteristics of the database approach. So there are a variety of the characteristics of the database approaches here. The first thing here is that manages information. ಸೊ ಏನಿದ್ರ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಸ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಸೊ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸೊ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ಡ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಸ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎ ಡಾಟಾ ಬೇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ column definitions and IDs or names or anything. So this is the manages information in database approach. Then second characteristic is easy operation implementation. Here all the operations like insert, delete, update, search by the SQL queries. So it is a very flexible and easy way. For this, the user required information of the column name and an appropriate value. Here, the queries make it a more powerful in this type of the operations. Third characteristic is multiple views of database. In multiple views of a database, a view is a subset of the database. So it is defined according to the user requirement. So different users of the systems may have the different views of the same system. So that is a third characteristics. Fourth one, data for the specific purpose. A database is a database is and designed for the specific purpose according to the group of users or according to the application interfaces. So for example, a database of the student management system is designed to maintain the record of the student marks or a fees or an attendance, etc. So this data is the specific purpose of maintaining the student record. So that is one example for data for a specific purpose. Then fifth one, represent real world applications. A database represents the real world applications. So that means if any changes in the real world, then it is reflected in the database also. So for example, railway reservation system. So in the railway reservation system, maintaining the records of passengers and waiting list and train arrival and departure time and certain day, etc. that are all related to an each train. So that is the representing the real world applications. Sixth one, logical relationship between the records and the data. So here database maintains a logical relationship between the records and also the data. So a user can access various records according to the various logical conditions by a single query from the database. The seventh one, insulation between program and also a data. In the database approach, the data structure is stored in the system catalog, not in the programs. So if we want to change the structure of a file, then no need to change the program. So this is a possible by using the insulation between the program and also the data. This feature we can also call it as the program data independence. So independent program data independence, we can also call it as data independence concept in this DBMS concept. So in the data independence, which means that the modification of data that is changed at a physical level without affecting at the logical level. This is also the definition of a data independence. Here is that if you want to change the structure of a file, then there is no need to change the program. So ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ನಾವು ಫೈಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ನೆಸೆಸಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. So that is insulation between the program and also the data. Then here, eighth one, self-describing nature of a database system. A database system is referred to as self-describing by a metadata. So what is a metadata? A metadata defines and describing the data and relationship between the tables in the database. So one more definition of a metadata is the data about the data is also called as a metadata. So that is self-describing nature of a database. So ಅದೇ ಡಾಟಾ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡಾಟಾನ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. So that is called as self-describing nature of a database. So that is metadata. Metadata describes that the data about the data, we can call it as the metadata. Ninth one, sharing of data and multi-user. Current database system can access by multiple users at the same time. This feature is called concurrency control strategies. So these strategies ensures that the data accessed are always correct and also integrated. The 10th one, control data redundancy. So in the database approach, each data item is stored only one place in the database. So single data does not repeat more than one time. So this feature we can call it as controlling of a data redundancy. So this feature is improves the system performance. So for example is that student ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಇದೆ. ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಅದೇ ತರ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಡಾಟಾಸ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಬರುವಂತ ಡಾಟಾನ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಡಾಟಾ ರಿಡಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ. ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ನೋ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ರಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಾಟಾ. ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Then 11th one, enforcement of integrity constraint. Database approach provides the ability to define and enforce certain constraint to ensure that user enter the valid information and maintaining a data integrity. So data integrity, which means that the validation of data in the databases. So that is enforcement of integrity constraint. Then the restriction of unauthorized access. So 12th one. A database approach should provide a security to create and control the different types of a user account and restricted the unauthorized persons. So ಬೇರೆ unauthorized persons ನಮ್ಮ database ಅನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ database restrict ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So that is the restriction of unauthorized access. So then 13th one, transaction processing. A database approach support the concurrency control subsystem that ensures that the data remain consistent and valid during the transaction processing, even if the several users update the same information. So that is called as a transaction processing. And the last one, backup and recovery facilities. So backup and recovery facilities are the methods that are used to protect our data from the losses. So backup means storing the database copy to another drive or another place. So if a hardware failures or it is not accessible, then we have to be recovers the data from the backup places. So that is the one of the main feature of this the database here, backup and also the recover facility. So these are all the sum of the characteristics of the databases. Then we move on to the next slide here, advantages of the DBMS. So first advantages here, controlling data redundancy. So ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ characteristics ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. Redundancy, which means that the repetition of a data. So here the storing the same type of a data on a different parts of the databases. So the DBA avoids the unnecessary duplication of the data in the databases. It reduces the storage spaces. So that is a main advantages of the DBMS. Then the second one here, minimize data inconsistency. Inconsistency means the different versions of the same data appear in the different places. So ಇದನ್ನ minimize ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ database. Then third one, restricting unauthorized access. Data is stored centrally. So enforcing forcible security constraint is also easier in our database. So the system does not provide accessing the same privileges to all the users. So it provides the security subsystem to create and control the user accounts such as a user ID, also the password. So by using the user ID and also the password, so the DBMS, it restricted unauthorized access. Then fourth one, improve data access. The DBMS provides the quick answers to the queries for the data manipulation technique. By using the data manipulation techniques, we have to using some of the commands like select, insert, delete, update, or anything. Then fifth one, support multiple views of a data. A view is a subset of a database that contains the virtual data derived from the database file, but it does not exist in form. So that is called that is called the supporting the multiple views of a data. Then sixth one, enforcing integrity constraint. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು characteristics ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. So once again, I'll repeat. So various integrity constraints are identified by the database design during the database. So these data integrity constraint can be forced automatically by using the DBMS concept, and other may have to be checked by application program also. So enforcing integrity here is that validation of a data in the database, it has the number of the constraints are to be participated in this DBMS concept. Then seventh one, providing backup and recovery. So recovering from the hardware and software failures, such as a power failure or a software error or anything, saving the data to some other places. So that is called providing the backup and recover facility. The ninth one, integration of a data. Data in the database is stored in a table. A single database contains the multiple tables, and the relationship can be created between those tables. So it is easy to retrieve and also updating the data. The ninth one, concurrent access and crash recovery. Data is accessed by only one user at a time. The DBMS protects the user from the effects of some system failures. So here is that the concurrency control the software ensures that the several users are trying to update the same data at the same time, so that we can call it as concurrent access. The 10th one, reduced application in development time. So develop the application program according to the user needs. So ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಬೇಕೋ ಆ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು application ಅನ್ನ develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು depending upon the DBMS. So here, by using this DBMS, reducing application development time. Then 11th one, better service to the user. So DBMS, it improves the service data can be shared and the techniques easier to respond to expected information request. Then 12th advantage is standard can be enforced. So standards are easier to enforce in the DBMS. So it may be related to the naming of a data or the format of a data or a structure of a data or etc. It is usually described for the purpose of data interchange for the migration between the systems. Then 13, data model must be developed. So data model must be developed here, building an overall view of an organization's data is usually cost effective in the long term. So that is data model must be developed. Then data sharing. So data is shared among the multiple users or in application programs. So new applications can be developed, use the same storage of a data. So here the satisfying the data requirements of a new applications without having to create any additional data or with minimum modification. So that is called as the data sharing. Then data independence. The system data descriptions are separated from the application program. So if any changes in the data structure are not reflected in the application program. So ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇನೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು ಡಾಟಾ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. Then transaction processing. The DBMS include a concurrency control subsystem to ensure that several users trying to update the same data do so in controlled manner so that the result of the updation is correct. So that is called transaction processing. So then providing data security. So already data security ತುಂಬಾ ಸರಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. So unauthorized persons must not access such confidential data. Unauthorized persons ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಟಾನ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. So these are all the some of the advantages of DBMS. Then what are the disadvantages of the DBMS? The first disadvantage is here cost of hardware and software. A processor with highest speed of a data processing and memory of large size is required to run the DBMS software. So that is the cost was high. The next second one cost of data conversion. For this, we have to hire a database and a database designer to convert the data from one format to another format. So a lot of money and developing softwares are required. So that is second disadvantage. Third one, cost of staff training. So complex system required for a training for the users. So training is required at all levels, including programming application development, database administrator, and database design. For this, lots of amount of the training of the staff is required. Then fourth one, appointing technical staff. The trained technical person such as a database administrator, application programmer, and database designer and data entry operators are required to handle the DBMS software of an organization. So these salaries are very high. So that is a fourth disadvantage. The fifth one, database damage. So all the data is integrated into a single database. If the database is damaged due to an electronic failures or the database is corrupt on the storage media, then our valuable data may be lost forever. It is a fifth disadvantage. Then sixth one, privacy and security is reduced. In some cases, in the database information is stored centrally, but it is available to the remote users, then it is possible to destruction of a data. So that is the sixth disadvantages. Then the purpose of the DBMS. So what are the purpose of a DBMS? The database approach is an improvement on the shared file solution is the use of a database management system. It provides the facility for querying, data security, and data integrity and allows the simultaneous access to the data by the number of different users. So this is a main purpose of the DBMS software. Thank you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon for the notification of the new videos. Thank you so much.